All right, so this is Huey's views and reviews. This is his website. I'm going to hit his home just for the moment. And let's make this full page. And a lot of people ask, how can I get on the list? Well, you're all on the list, but you may have members of your group that want to join this. So the answer is go to huey.net and then scroll down past his buy a coffee, and feel free if you like it. And you'll notice at the bottom of the page, it says subscribe to our WinSIG monthly newsletter. And all you do is put your email address and your first and last name in and click subscribe. And that will get you the announcement from Huey each month for the WinSIG meeting, along with the request to subscribe to that meeting. And then you'll get confirmations as you all have. So this is where it all starts. And then he uses the WinSIG specifically to document, and we've got the topics that are going to be discussed today. And it's going to be more of a discussion because I'm not the expert, but I will at least go over what he would like covered. And October has got the video. Yes, the October video is posted. So you can watch this on YouTube and you can put it on a playlist or put a bookmark in or whatever, and then watch it at your leisure if you missed last month's. So I'm going to give it another 5 minutes in case Huey's able to come in, and then we'll make an effort to do this. Steve, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I noticed you had the Malwarebytes browser guard. What do you think of it so far?
I like it.
Yeah.
There have been a few sites that I've gone to that had said you may not want to go to that site. On the other hand, there have been some sites, especially government sites, where I need to log in, hospital sites trying to get records and things like that. And when you start to fill out the form, having ads and trackers enabled, the form won't properly fill out. So for a particular site, I can turn them off and then turn them back on again when I'm.
Yeah, I was just wondering when that uBlock origin stops working properly, if this Malwarebytes will sort of pick up the slack where that one leaves off.
I don't use both, but that's the one that I use Malwarebytes on my Windows computer anyway as my primary antivirus.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing for a minute or two, and we'll get started in about 4 minutes. Hope everything's okay. He still has not answered my text. I'm just going to say that we're on our way. Join in if ready. I want to thank Drew King for solving a problem I didn't know I had this morning. I'm setting up a new computer and it's in Linux, which is not this discussion, but the point was I've got the Microsoft phone app on my computer, and that lets me answer my texts and things like that, look at pictures and whatever on my phone. And I wanted to do the same thing on my Linux computer. So we've been trying all kinds of esoteric ways to do that. And he said, hey, you can go to messages.google.com and just link your phone to your Google account, which it is an Android anyway, and type away. So very, very simple solution to a problem I didn't know I had. Messages.google.com if you decide you want to check it out. And then in your browser, you can receive all your text messages and you can send them as well. Nice, simple solution. Thank you.
Yeah, I found another one that Huey had, the Evernote, that he uses a lot. The Google Keep actually works a lot better than Evernote does. And it doesn't keep pestering you every time to upgrade, too.
I just tried Huey and he's not answering.
That's not good. I hope he's well.
Yeah, if you want an alternative to Evernote, I would look at Joplin. Joplin is an open source alternative to Evernote. In fact, it was built to be an alternative to Evernote. And it actually has the ability to import Evernote notebooks and notes for people that want to convert off of Evernote and go to Joplin.
I did try out Evernote, and wasn't there something years ago called Ask Sam that did something similar? You could build a database with all kinds of stuff that you would look at, and and then later on, if you had a question, it was a relational database, and it would come up with the answers for you. I may be showing my age. I think it ran under MS-DOS.
How do you spell Joplin?
Joplin.
Okay, I guessed it right. Thank you.
Yeah, it runs on the Mac, Windows, and Linux, and it's open source. It's got a browser plugin for doing web clippings. It's got an app for your cell phone, and you can synchronize you can either pay Joplin a small fee to host your database, or you can use your own cloud service to host your database. I have mine on Microsoft OneDrive.
Could you put that in the chat? Just to
Put what in the chat?
Joplin.
the name, or so that we can save it?
Oh, sure.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead.
Joplin.org.
Joplin.org. Okay.
Yeah, okay, yep, there it is.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to make an attempt at starting this, and I will keep anybody that wants to comment as it's being presented, just raise your hand, and we'll keep this more of a SIG than a presentation, because I'm looking at this for the second time. I saw the list of topics, but I didn't really dig into them. So let's see. I don't have the usual screen, but from at this point in the background, I have the Central Florida Computer Society behind me, and Huey can edit this and go forward for the archives. So this is November 10th, and this is the Central Florida Computer Society and the Sarasota Technology User Group Windows Special Interest Group. And Huey is indisposed, and we wish him well if that is a problem. He's not answering his text, so we will carry forward, and we'll go over the list of items that he had for today. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm on Huey's Views and Reviews, the WinSIG page. And we'll go into the first item. Microsoft shares pricing details for Windows 10 extended security updates for consumers. I am a consumer of Windows 10. Let's see if we got this immersive reader. Let's give this a shot. There we go. How about that? And let's just play with this as I did when Bob G and I did this the last time. Let's let Microsoft tell us about this directly.
Microsoft shares pricing details for Windows 10 extended security updates for consumers. Microsoft announced last year an extended security updates program for Windows 10 that will let organizations that aren't ready yet to upgrade to Windows 11 continue to receive security updates for the OS after it reaches end of support on October 14, 2025. For the first time ever, this program will also be available for consumers still using Windows 10 PCs. Microsoft already shared pricing details for this extended security updates program for organizations. Getting Windows 10 updates for one device will cost $61 per year, and this price will double every consecutive year. There will also be special pricing for nonprofits and organizations opting to receive ESU updates via Intune or Windows Auto Patch. However, because extended security updates are cumulative, organizations joining the program on the second year will also need to pay for the first year of updates.
Okay, well, so I had that. I kind of knew they were going to charge for Windows 10. We had discussed this probably for the last year or so, knowing that next year in 2025 in October, that theoretically Windows 10 was end of life or end of support. So the real question is, do you pay a fee that's going to double every year and continue on with 10 if you're on a computer that you can't upgrade? Tim, your hand is raised.
Yeah, if you go further down, it says for the consumer, it's $30 a year, and they'll tell you right there. Oops, go back just a hair, a little bit more, right there in that paragraph. And they'll share additional year information probably after the end of life of 10. So,
Since you're talking about it, Tim, what do you plan to do about your Windows 10 machines?
most of them will either run 11 unsupported, and or I will use them for Linux. Some of the real old ones may eventually get scrapped, but I'm a tinkerer to some extent. And so I experiment with things on the older stuff just to see what I can achieve.
And I've done that a lot myself. I've just felt that I wanted to hold, well, first of all, the computer that we're on right now is a gaming computer I built about 5 years ago. And Windows 10 was relatively new at that time. So I was, I had upgraded previous computers from 7 to 10. And so but this was the first time I had used Windows 10 out of the box, literally, and setting it up.
Checking my hardware with a little ISO test program that somebody created. If you got a Core i processor, whether it's a 3, a 5, a 7, or especially the 9, they'll support either Windows 11 supported, which starts at generation 8, and anything older than 8 will still run Windows 11 unsupported. So I haven't run into a problem. The biggest problem of determining something is if you have a Celeron or a Pentium. Some of them are harder to figure out, and 11 probably isn't going to like it as much because as you go down in processors, you have less horsepower. So you may not get everything you want in an unsupported environment.
Well, I think I said a little bit earlier, but not everybody was aboard. I just decided, okay, I've got a year, essentially, before I have to truly make a decision. And so the decision I'm making now is to switch to a new mini computer, new hardware, with actually more power than the tower unit that I built as a gaming computer, and just start with Linux. And it's sitting on a desk sitting to my left with its own monitor, its own keyboard, and its own mouse. As I do something in front of me in Windows, then I will go over to the mini and I say, okay, what do I need to do that same thing in Linux? And a couple of things, the answer is nothing. I can't do it. So I've also been playing with the help of John Kennedy and his excellent video on virtual machines with APCUG. I've been playing with a virtual machine, setting up Windows, and then running that application, whatever it happens to be, on that virtual machine and making sure it's compatible. So for those things that I just can't let go of when I'm ready to shut the desktop computer down, I'll still have a crutch where I can go into a virtual machine and run it. And the biggest thing is Quicken, which still does not have a web application that I can use, so. I'll
Your
have,
tax programs are the same way, but generally, I hear a lot of experts that do a lot of the YouTube videos and stuff. They end up taking and having a Windows program run on a regular Windows system they already have, and then they do everything else they can on a Linux box. So they have at least two computers or more. I have more. I'm a tech. I have a lot of supported 11 systems. I have a lot of Linux systems, and I have Windows 10 systems. I even got a few that I haven't touched in a long time that have XP or Windows 7 on them.
okay. Any other questions on this? I'm sure this is going to be discussed as we get closer to October next year, but at least a path is there for people that want to pay the annual fee and continue on for at least another year. So what's new in Windows 11 24H2? So the question was asked before we started, should I allow Windows 11 to go to 24H2? And that the follow-on question is right below it, the issues. So first, let's talk about what's new in 11 24H2, and then let's talk about why you probably don't want to do the update yet. So what's new? Why not subscribe to our newsletter later? Okay, so Microsoft will start rolling out the latest Windows 11 update 24H2 in stages. So you may have seen it, or you may have already gotten it. You may have chosen to install it. You may have had no problems, or you may have had some problems. But they say it's a new platform release, meaning the update will be installed using the OS swap method, which involves replacing the entire OS with a newer version. This, I suppose, this is my own interjection on this, it could have been the Windows 12. They just didn't want to say that it was Windows 12 because it's such a major change. As predicted by many, including the person who wrote this article, it's largely an AI update, bringing new AI features that are exclusive to the next generation Copilot Plus PCs if they have a neural processing unit, otherwise known as NPU. And for traditional PCs, the update does not include anything of significance, they say. A few UI tweaks and minor adjustments, and in his opinion, not much to get excited about, but they're there. So I've seen a couple of things already discussed on Tech for Senior about File Explorer and what it's able to do, and exploring with tabs, which I can't do in Windows 10. I notice he doesn't put that on there. It says larger buttons. It has the ability to create 7-zip and tar compressed archive files. Quick settings panel. It's paginated, meaning you can scroll through all of the quick settings available on your PC rather than having a selection manually placed there by the user. Okay. And by the way, if any of these that I'm mentioning, and those of you who have Windows 11, if you've got it, you've tried it and you like it or whatever, just raise your hand and we'll let you talk about it. The Wi-Fi list in Quick Settings panel has been updated with a new refresh button, refreshing the Wi-Fi list when clicked. And if you're using a virtual private network or VPN, there's a new toggle switch that lets you turn the VPN on and off with a single click. That's kind of nice, although my VPN is browser-based. I can just do that in my browsers right now. Live captions have been promoted to the top level of the Quick Settings interface, allowing users to enable the feature with a single click. System tray has been revamped. Revamped date and time, removed the bell icon. Let's see if I got a bell icon on mine. Don't see a bell, okay. Got rid of the AM, PM indicator. I guess they think you know if it's morning or night unless you are up most of the time. And the year I don't worry about, to reduce the amount of space taken up, okay? Additional power controls now available via the Settings app, previously only configurable via the control panel. unified Teams experience, merges Teams. So this Teams is in capital, so I'm going to assume that's the Microsoft Teams group collaboration applications for school and work, and the personal Teams client allowing users to seamlessly switch between work, school, and personal accounts from within the app. Support for USB 80 GPS. So there's a major version update to the USB 4 standard that'll eventually become available with the release of new hardware. I noticed on my new Mini that I have a USB-C socket, and the documentation on the Mini says it's USB 4, which I have not yet tried. But as I understand it, USB 4 is more compatible with going to a video display that's also USB 4, which I haven't used yet either. And then removed items, 24H2 sees the removal of Cortana. Anybody missing that?
No. Mail, no.
Mail, calendar. I kind of use my own calendar within my mail browsing app on Proton Mail or Google Calendar. Maps, I prefer either Google Maps or Waze. People, I don't think I've used. Movies and TV. And WordPad is also to be removed with a future update. PhoneLink introduces enhanced capabilities between Windows and Android devices, something which I was working on this morning. As I mentioned earlier, Drew pointed me towards several applications I could use. So if you have a Copilot Plus PC, or you're planning on getting a Copilot Plus PC, then Windows 11 version 24H2 is the first version of Windows to ship with new features that are exclusive to Copilot Plus PCs with dedicated NPU. Recall we discussed pretty much at length, I think, last month when Bob G was with us. And it's a controversial new feature that captures and stores snapshots of everything you see and do on your computer. Recall has been criticized for potential privacy and security issues. Reports are now filtering through that the recall feature works fine with traditional PCs. Define fine. Why would I want it on a traditional PC if I wasn't using a built-in AI at an NPU? Good question to ask. Studio effects can be applied to a webcam and microphone to enhance video and audio feed across all related apps. Live captions, a new feature that uses AI to translate 40+ different languages from live or pre-recorded audio and video in real time directly on the device. Co-creator in Paint and image generator in Photos can generate images and text-based input provided by the user. And Copilot becomes fully fledged app with commensurate capabilities, so integrated to use that NPU chip. So the publisher is basically saying, I won't be installing the update anytime soon. I see no sense in going through a major update when my traditional PC cannot take advantage of significant new features. Support for 23H2 ends in November of 25, and that's when he'll probably bite the bullet. So I'm going to scroll to the top, and we'll go back to the screen. And who now running Windows 11 has 24H2 and is not crashing on a regular basis? Anybody want to talk about that? How about who now has 24H2 and it is crashing on a regular basis? Okay. Oh, Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
Offhand, the 24H2, I have a lot of 11 supported as well as unsupported, and none of them came up with the offer for 24H2. And there were so many problems reported that they withdrew the update through Windows Update. I don't know if it's back yet, but if you really want to press your luck, you can download 24H2 and be able to put it on yourself. But you better have a complete verified system backup of what you got in case things go real bad?
There was a computer, a friend of a friend, relatively new. I'm going to say the computer was about a year old. It came with Windows 11, didn't have 24H2, and it was infested somehow. I didn't get all the details. And they just said to me, all we really want you to do is just put, wipe the drive clean. And then as long as there's nothing wrong with the computer, go ahead and put a new copy of Windows 11 on. And I was actually able to download the Windows 11 24H2, put it on a USB stick, and then install it with literally a fresh drive. I wiped the drive completely clean and then started over. And
Well,
I had her license, so I could use her license for it.
I will tell you, 11, most of the, especially for unsupported, they want you to do a clean install because it has a less chance of bad things that are in your system, whether you know it or not, causing problems with the new 11. But at the same time, too, most people have been using their system for lots of years. They have a lot of stuff accumulated on their systems. There's all the settings for all the programs that they have installed, as well as what comes with the operating system. And they don't want to start from scratch.
Yep, I agree. Okay, well, we'll move on then to the, let's get down here to share again, to the article that talks about the problems that people have reported. This is on Tech Radar. Make sure that you can see it, yeah. So Microsoft Windows 11 24H2 issues just keep getting worse with the new update, now causing crashes on Intel motherboards. Let's see if he puts a date on this. I don't see a date on the article. Microsoft Windows 11 24H2 has caused Intel Z890 motherboards to constantly crash or reboot, requiring users to change BIOS settings for solution. This is another entry in the growing list of issues Windows users have faced with the major update. And if I recall correctly, this is going to go to a link that's actually on Microsoft's website and show you the issues and what the status of the updates are. So you may want to go to this article and follow up on that. A Spanish firm, El Chapuzas Informatico, who have closely monitored the situation, say that the issue with this motherboard appears to stem from an apparent conflict between dedicated and integrated graphical processing units. It doesn't seem to be limited to one specific motherboard. It's reportedly occurring with boards from multiple brands, including MSI and Gigabyte. It's unclear at this point whether the blame lies directly with Microsoft's update or Intel bears some of the responsibility too. And then he's got a bunch of things talking about the Z890 motherboard failing to display the graphics card. It talks about updating to the latest BIOS, modifying BIOS settings. This is where most of us would probably just go to the Geek Squadron and say, fix it, please. Let's see, what else have they got on here? Random blue screens of death. For those utilizing Western Digital SSDs, the Black series, if I recall, which is one of the better series if you're just looking to get some SSDs, even before the current Z890 motherboard problem. So it's frustrating for users since Windows updates are often automatically pushed when restarting or powering off their system. And that's when the blue screen of death takes place. So while the current issue is not bricking a motherboard, in other words, causing permanent damage, not allowing you to use any operating system on it, or causing any major damage, there's no telling what other troubles the beleaguered Windows update could cause. There are plenty of PC users who maintain specific system configurations And given the range of odd hardware-specific bugs with 24H2, it's possible some users could be hit with multiple issues that are hard to troubleshoot independently. And motherboard manufacturers are already pushing urgent BIOS updates to alleviate some of the problems. So once again, rather than going through all of that, as was suggested, treat it like a new car and consider getting the next model if you can. And the suggestion is not to accept 24H2 for a while until we know and support like we get from Tech for Senior and from these types of conferences let us all know that Microsoft has made some updates and are improving it. Okay, so I'm gonna, any comments on this particular article? It's just another in the series of problems that seem to still be out there but not resolved.
Well, that motherboard issue, that's real new. So that's handling the 13th and 14th generation Intel CPU chips, which have their own problem from the manufacturer Intel. And a lot of it has to do with probably trying to push your power real high speeds, maybe overclocking, etc. And they end up shutting down due to a thermal overload. And they have been successfully trying to limit some of that issue, but I don't know if that's been transferred into 24H2. So that may be part of the issue. I'm saying only part of the issue.
Well, some of us like to play with computers. I have for years, and I try to keep a computer updated, and usually about every 8 to 10 years, as long as the rest of the peripherals that are inside the case, outside the case are fine, I'll take the old motherboard out and put a new one in with, newer memory, newer solid state drive configurations, things like that, and everything else is just fine. So in this case, people playing around with either new solid state drives or new motherboards with new chips are finding that the 24H2, it wasn't bricking the motherboard, but it was giving a lot of blue screens. Let's hope the situation gets better and Microsoft solves the problem for everybody in all variations. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the new features, and one of them they talked about Notepad. So we'll bring that up. And they're saying even Microsoft Notepad is getting AI text editing. So along with adding AI to a text editor that launched in 1983, Microsoft will let Windows insiders, for the moment, test generative fill and erase tools in Paint as well. This is a November 6th article. So they're adding AI-powered text editing to Notepad. The stripped-down text editor originally introduced in 1983. The feature called Rewrite is rolling out in preview to Windows insiders and will let you use AI to rephrase sentences, adjust tone, modify the length of your content. Let me make this larger to see, realize that we weren't. There we go. We can see a little bit of what's sitting there. So if you're a Windows insider with early access to the feature, you can try it by highlighting the text as they do here, right-clicking it and choosing Rewrite. Notepad will then display a dialog box that offers 3 written versions you can replace your work with. And then you can make it longer, change the tone, or change the format. In this case, it's got 4 versions. So they can try highlight, right-click, and see, change it. It's worth noting that you'll have to sign into your Microsoft account to use Rewrite, as it's powered by a cloud-based service that requires authentication and authorization. And they're launching this feature in Windows 11 in the US, France, Canada, Italy, and Germany. And they've also got spell check in there and autocorrect. So I don't know. For me, it would be sort of a nice to have, because I have a tendency when I really get into composing, I would much rather use Microsoft Word or something similar, a word processor, and then use the features that are in the word processor. And if I truly wanted AI, I'd either add it in or I'd use Copilot if I was paying for the license for Office 365 with Copilot. Any comments? Yes, Steve?
Yeah, when you were mentioning SSDs before, I was just wondering what sort of temperatures you get on yours and if you use a heat sink with them or not.
Let's say, I could say, let's save it for chat. Remember that question. And I will, given the time, I will go ahead and bring up, I know I've got, this is showing me, this is, I'm using the special deal right here. So this is temperature's 84 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not too bad. It's an M2. So that's about a normal operating temperature. And it doesn't have any special heat sink. It's just got the snap-in that holds it down. Okay, so let's go back here. That includes that. Okay, how to reinstall Windows 11 and retain everything. In the situation I talked about, because the computer had been either hacked or penetrated or had something bad on it, we weren't sure what. I wanted to wipe it clean and install from scratch. But let's just say you wanted to upgrade and keep all of your stuff. So let's see what this has to say. This is an article from Dave's Computer Tips. So Windows 11 includes a feature that allows users to reinstall the operating system while retaining everything, including installed programs, settings, and all data. That's interesting. Windows 11 hasn't exactly been a major hit for Microsoft, with many users opting to stick with Windows 10. However, Windows 11 does include several distinct advantages over Windows 10, as one of these advantages is a feature that can potentially return a misbehaving operating system to a perfectly good working system while losing nothing. Something for nothing. In the past, we've all done this. We've had to just basically do a repair install or an upgrade install or a reset. So without losing anything, with Windows 11, navigate to Settings, Recovery. In the Recovery window, click Reinstall Now, which is there. You'll see a new window prompting you to make sure the PC is connected to the internet and power. So they're showing, we'll repair components and system files if a repair solution is available. That's the big if. They'll try to fix it. They'll install the current version and preserving apps, documents, and so on, connected to the network. When ready, click OK, restart the system, or enable automatically restart 15 minutes. So they say this is a huge improvement over the reset function, which would do pretty much the same thing, but without retaining installed programs and settings. And in Dave's opinion, a welcome addition, especially for less experienced users who unfortunately do not intend to employ a comprehensive backup strategy. And there is what we always say in almost every SIG meeting: backup, and then be sure and back up again. So theoretically, you wouldn't need to do that if you had a good backup before you had your problem. And then you could just restore that and go on your way. But that's good. I have used reset just to get a new operating system, and I've backed up the data, but some of the settings that are in the operating system itself get lost under reset. Comments? I haven't looked at chat to see if there's anything on there. Let's just take a quick look here. What about, I see a question, what about zero patch for Windows 10 security update, $25 for lifetime license? That's something I'd like to see Huey discuss as one of his session items. Zero patch is a means that if you no longer get download patches on a regular basis and install them in the operating system, zero patch for every session that you start maintains a database of the latest, what the latest patches did to Windows, and basically reinserts that on the operating system itself as if you got the patches. And I don't know anybody who's currently running it. But if you're going to pay $30 a year, this is 20 for a lifetime. I don't know how long are you really going to keep a computer going before you get a new one.
John has a question.
Yes, John.
Yeah, recently I did have to do a refresh of Windows 11 for a friend of mine. All sorts of things were not working properly. But luckily enough, we were able to get to the area within the computer that would allow me to do this. But a backup, if I had an old backup of his when he visited me last, but that was quite a while. And we don't know exactly when, even if you were doing a daily backup, you don't know when you accumulated these problems. So just backing up one day might not do it, or making up, then you have to try a week. How many backups can you keep? This actually did fix mostly his problems, and I was surprised, but it actually did, and it didn't take very long. And apparently whatever was corrupted in there, I'd already run things to check out that the system files were good and that the updating methods, that they had the latest versions in there, that didn't find anything. But this restoring it that way did. So we'll see what happens. Jury's out.
I've used Macrium Reflect for many years, and they have several different ways of making a backup. You can image a drive or a partition. You can clone, which is literally track by track, sector by sector, so you wind up with the same drive on another drive. And you can also do a file by file backup. I use a synchronization program instead of a file by file backup, which I happen to like. So, but yeah, I would not, and what I'm doing now with both a Windows computer and a Linux computer, and trying to keep them in sync is keep these backups. But I do like the idea of what Microsoft has come out with. And it's also a recognition from Microsoft that, hey, we've got so many glitches with our systems that people have to be able to reinstall and still keep their data and keep their settings and not have to redo it. Okay. I just checked my texts and nothing from Huey. Really sorry to hear that. Okay, discussion about clipboard under 24H2. Let's let the folks do their talking.
Clipboard 24H2. The Windows clipboard allows you to share information stored in one app, the source app, with a second app, the destination app, using well understood copy, cut, and paste operations. It has evolved over the years to include rich text formats, including those supported by Microsoft Office applications and multiple graphics formats. And File Explorer uses clipboard-based copy, cut, and paste operations for copying and moving files between different locations in the file system. The clipboard can only hold a single item by default, and it exists solely in RAM. So it is not persistent and will not survive a reboot. That item is stored in multiple formats when necessary. However, for maximum compatibility. For example, if you copy or cut formatted text from a Microsoft Word document, that item is stored in the clipboard in multiple formats so that it can retain its formatting or be pasted as plain text, depending on the destination application. Windows 11 provides the most advanced version of clipboard yet. In addition to supporting all the functionality you remember from previous Windows versions, you can also use a clipboard history feature to store multiple items in the clipboard at once, sync clipboard text between multiple PCs, and get suggestions for supported actions when you copy a date, time, or phone number to the clipboard. These additional clipboard features require you to sign into Windows with a Microsoft account. Because basic clipboard operations are well understood, We focus on the clipboard features that debuted in Windows 10 and 11 and are probably unfamiliar to many readers in this chapter. Paste multiple items to the clipboard with clipboard history. To help overcome the clipboard's most obvious limitation, it can hold only a single item at a time. Windows now lets you enable a clipboard history feature that lets you save multiple items to the clipboard. Once enabled, you can use a new keyboard shortcut, WinKey+V, to determine which item to use when you paste information into another application. Enable clipboard history to enable clipboard history. Open Settings, WinKey+I, and navigate to System Clipboard. Then, enable the setting Clipboard History. Alternatively, you can simply type WinKey+V. The clipboard history window will appear, and you can click a Turn On button to enable this feature. Now, when you copy something to the clipboard, it will be added to the clipboard and will not replace whatever was in the clipboard previously. With a few caveats, clipboard history can store up to 25 items. Those items can be text, HTML, and bitmap graphics. Only each item must be 25 megabytes or smaller. The clipboard will still work normally with items that do not meet those criteria, but unsupported items will not appear in clipboard history. Use clipboard history with clipboard history enabled. Normal paste operations perhaps by typing Control+V will work as before. When you do so, the last.
Yes, you do so the last. Okay, maybe I have to come out of the reader to see what that was. When you do so the last. Well, okay. I guess I have to be signed in order to see the end of that particular item. I'm actually using Clipchamp, or Clipmate, I should say, which, let's see if I can pop it up on the screen here. Make sure, here we go. Okay, so Clipmate and Explorer, that's it. I've got this many years ago when we had a presentation on this in Central Florida Computer Society. And the thing I like about it is I can do more than the 25 items. So you can see I've got quite a bit of stuff that's gone on my clipboard, and then it recycles it. And then if I like, I can take something that I think is important, like say an address that I want to go to sometime in the future. And then in the safe, I can have folders that are never deleted and never overwritten. And I can just drag and drop and put it into safe files. So I might have, for example, buy some software and have a registration code that I want to keep track of. And so in the safe, I will have a folder that says registration codes. And if, let's see if I don't see a registration code. Well, okay, I don't know what that's for. So, but let's say I had a registration code and I wanted to keep it straight. Then I could go ahead and just copy that and stick it down into registration codes and say what the properties were. So this is not a free, I've got a trial version for Clipmate available. But it's a one-time license. It's not an annual license. And for all my Windows installations, I use Clipmate Explorer. And I'm using a Linux box now, and I'm looking for alternatives for that. So I'm still evaluating different ones to see how they work under Linux. But for Windows, it's good to at least have something that gives you something like this where you can keep track of your last 25 clips and go back to them.
Huey has shown up.
Yes, I am here.
Oh, good. I hope you are okay, sir.
I am.
Wonderful. All right. Well, we are just finishing Mr. Thurot's article, and that's on Clipboard. We have discussed pricing details for Windows 10. We have discussed what's in 11.24H2. We have discussed more of the issues that keep getting worse. We've discussed the Notepad. We've discussed reinstalling Windows 11, and we just did Clipboard. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
I appreciate that.
And
say, hello, everybody.
Say welcome. Please pick this up from here.
Yeah, I apologize for being late, but I'm here. I just to go back and let me go ahead and share my screen. Make sure the sound. And you should be seeing my screen and the.
Yep. Next
Yes.
one up is
Okay.
Task Manager.
Yep. What I want to do say about the 24H2 is that I installed it and I started getting all kinds of blue screens, and I ran the update about a week or so later and I still get blue screens. So I removed the 24H2 update, and I was still at 24H2, but not the update. And I can't remove 24H2 without a lot of issues. It just doesn't say uninstall it. I guess I waited too long. And so I'm running 24H2, and every once in a while I get a blue screen. Sometimes it happens 2 or 3 times, and then it's fine for a couple of days. So there's no rhyme or reason for it. I really haven't gone in to do anything. I'm just waiting for an update to make it so it doesn't do that. But so if I all of a sudden disappear, Mike,
I'll be standing by.
okay, that's not why I was late. I just will apologize for being late.
The,
All
the
right.
the only comment I would make, and it was new to me, is when it said the one just before the clipboard, how to reinstall Windows and retain everything. So
Uh-huh.
instead of a reset, it is actually keeping everything. It's keeping your operating system settings. It's keeping your installed programs, obviously keeping your data, and it actually goes out to Microsoft, gets a current version of whatever the current latest version of the operating system is, and reinstalls that without overwriting your settings, they claim. I think I'd have an image backup before trying that, but that might
Yeah.
be something that would get you out of what you've currently got for your 20.
No, because the problem is 24H2, and if I do reinstall Windows 11, it's going to be 24H2.
But maybe a slightly different version
Yeah,
if they patched it or done something. And
Yeah,
then
they
it
have.
looks like the way to do it instead of just doing it fresh.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, let's look at Task Manager. All right. And that is, he says 24H2, but that's because he's updated it. I don't know if there are differences in it or not. Let me go ahead and close this. Move this over and make a full screen here. There we go. So Task Manager is a powerful system utility that provides task management, startup application management, and other advanced features, mostly aimed at more sophisticated users. So this is something, if you're not understanding what I'm going to be talking about, just don't worry about it. It's nothing that you must look at and use, but it sure, if you understand what it is, and I don't understand a lot of it, but it does help me in a few ways, and I will talk about that. In Windows 11, Task Manager has been updated with a simpler and more modern user interface and a handful of new features. And this is what it looks like, and we're going to go look at mine here in just a moment. But this is what it looks like. You see Task Manager is running. You can see what the background processes are and so on. There's several ways to find and start Task Manager. You can sign up for their new newsletter. Let's see this. I don't want anything about that. That's an ad for Thurrott. But taskbar context menu. If you right click the taskbar, you'll see Task Manager. If I come down here, you'll see Task Manager. I think you might see. I see it anyway. It says Task Manager. So you can get to it that way. You can, excuse me, you can right click the start button to display the quick link menu. So if I right click here, you get all of the quick link menu, and you should see Task Manager on here, right here. I can get to it there. You can do a start and search. So down on the search, you can then type in task and it will be there as well. And then you can do Control Alt Delete and choose Task Manager. I'm not going to do that one in case I do the wrong thing. But Control Alt Delete doesn't automatically do anything. It gives you a menu, and one of the items in there is Task Manager. So if you can't do anything else when you want to look at it, that might be way to go. But I'm going to just do it from my taskbar and hit Task Manager, and there it is. I am sorry I can't make it bigger. I could zoom in on it, but I don't have things set up to zoom. But you can see what apps are running and what's running in the background. So we got Zoom meetings, we've got Windows Explorer, we got Task Manager, Killer Intelligence Center. That's something from Intel that's on my computer, and Google Chrome. And this tells me how much CPU I'm using, how much memory it's using, how much disk it's using, and then if it's doing anything on the network. I'm not sure what that is exactly. You'll see here that, of course, Google Chrome I'm using a lot. I'm using a gigabyte of memory. And so, you know, I'm using 49, I'm using half of my memory. And I have 32 gigabytes of memory, so it's using 16. And then the CPU, I'm only using 12% of it. And it tells me what. Now, there's some other things you can do here. It's right now it's sorting on processes by name, but I can and then I can do it up and down. I can sort it alphabetically, and then I can go, okay, what's using the most CPU? I can click this, and then it puts right at the top what's using the most CPU. And same thing with memory. I can click here and it puts the memory in order. So I see Chrome is using the most, Zoom is next, and then Evernote. And I don't, it's something in the background, Evernote. I don't have it actually running. And Microsoft Edge I don't have running, but Microsoft sticks it in there. So it's using part of my process so it can come up immediately. And so these are some things running in the background, but let's come back to name again here. And it does it like that. All right. Now we also have, let's see, Task Manager, and we have processes and then performance. And it gives me the performance. Again, you can see some of the same things, but what you're seeing is a graph of it and what it's doing. And then app history. It's showing what's resource usage since the 19th of October. So it's a month's worth of resource usage for the current user account, which is mine, of course. And you can delete the history if you want to. But I can see which ones use the most CPU time, which is Outlook, then iCloud, then PhoneLink, which I run in the background, and so on. And then the network speed test is used the most as far as network goes, then Outlook, and then PhoneLink. And then what's given me most notifications, apparently I don't have that turned on because it's saying none. Okay. All right, so that's app history, and then startup apps. This shows me everything that I have set to start automatically when I turn on my computer. However, not all of them are enabled. So you can see what's enabled and then what's disabled. And if there's anything that, let's say I didn't want everything, the program, everything, I can, and it tells me who the publisher is of everything. I can turn that off. Let's see here, right mouse click, and I can disable it. I can open the file location. I can search online for more information about it, and I can look at the properties. And so if you're having a lot of problems, what you might want to do is start disabling some things that start at the beginning and see if it's you one at a time. You turn it off, restart. That doesn't begin, and you might do that for several items. Let's say I'm having an issue, and you can see here. Let's see if I've disabled something here that was in that list that I did it manually. Terminal. I don't know if that's done. Let's see, enabled, disabled. Intel Graphics Command Center startup task. Okay, I don't need that, so I had disabled it. And iCloud shared albums, I went ahead and disabled it. iCloud photos, I don't use them, so I disabled it, and so on. So you can disable any of the startup items to test it, see if you need it. Be careful, if you don't know what it is, leave it alone. Under users, I only have one user, and that's me. Details, I am not sure what this tells you. It's just, oh, what's running? And some information about it. So if you're looking to see, what programs are running and then where they're from. So Evernote has something that runs in the background, so it'll come up easily, even though I don't have it turned on right now. I don't have it clicked. Everything runs in the background, so as soon as I click it, it shows me everything that I can find on my computer. And then services, it shows what services are running. And so if something gets stuck, I usually do it from processes, but if something gets stuck, let's say my Chrome, and I'm not going to do it right now because I am using Chrome, but I could click this and then right click and then tell it, let's see, if I right click, I can tell it to end task, and then it's no longer stuck and I can start it up again. And I've done that many times. So let's see if there's anything else here about Task Manager. Getting to know Task Manager, it got a modern makeover that makes it look more at home in the system. And this is what I just showed you. Additionally, Task Manager now includes a command bar at the top that features items that, let's see, the command bar at the top. Whoops. Yeah. Let me, I lost what I was showing you here. Where to go here? What I do? Okay. I may still be running in the background. Let me just go take a look here. No. All right. I don't know why it's not bigger like I had it. I had it running right, and let's go ahead and plus. There we go. All right. Get to know Task Manager. We just did that. Processes to manage the app. So it's explaining a lot of what I just showed you. Startup. See if it tells us anything more about that. Users. Okay. So I think it's pretty much going over everything I just showed you. So let's go ahead and close that one. And let's see what you've got to say. Anybody? Comments? Steve, your hand is up.
Yeah, I was just wondering when you've got a program that's showing up in your background tasks, and you disable it. And then you start up something that needed that process. Will it then re-enable it automatically and keep the program running like it does if it puts it to sleep?
Say
Which-
that I
Well,
didn't follow.
With CCleaner, you can give you a list of processes that are running in the background, like you had in the task manager, and it'll put them to sleep so that they're not using up RAM to stay resident. And then if you start up a program that needs one of those ones you put to sleep, it'll wake it up and use it, and then it'll put it
Yes.
back to sleep once you're finished with it. Is that
Um,
this? Will it do the same in the task manager?
I'm sure if you if you disable it in Task Manager and then start the program from the icon, yeah, it'll start it up again. And I don't know whether it will when you
But
close
you
it.
you end up having to go into task manager to enable it and then run the program, right?
No, you should
No?
be able to run the program. Uh, it'll because it needs it, it'll start it up. I'm quite sure. Okay, any other questions, comments? Drew, do you use Task Manager and any comments about it?
I don't use Task Manager a lot. I do take periodic analysis of how much memory and things I'm using, but normally I would only ever load it to kill a task that's not working right. And a few years ago, I started using an app called Killer, which is a Windows app that only does one thing. It lists and kills tasks. And it lets you search by name. I think Task Manager lets you search for a name now. You didn't used to be able to collect all of your, if you had 17 tasks running of a browser, you couldn't close them all at once. I think now you can, but in Killer, you can search for a word like Chrome and it'll show you the 10 Chrome processors and kill them all at the same time.
Well,
That's
go ahead.
so that's something that Task Manager did not used to have.
Let me go ahead and share my screen again.
One useful thing that Process Explorer does that Task Manager doesn't do is it will tell you what programs are causing it to show up in the background so that you can track down what the actual file is that's running in memory or disabled or whatever you've done with it.
Okay, I just ran a search on Chrome and it shows me Edge. Well, Edge has uses Chrome in the back is part of it. So it may think it's something with Chrome. What's another word I could use here that's running? Well, let's stop this and
Chromium.
no, but let's it's the Dell machine. So if I look for Dell, there's all of the Dell processes that are running. So yes, it does have a search. What was somebody said they don't understand? Go ahead.
That was an error. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. But yes, you can search now, which you couldn't do before. Okay, let's go to the next item. Microsoft wants Copilot to be your new AI best friend. Well, I didn't do it the way I wanted to do it, but that's fine. Boy, do they have pop-ups. let me go back and let's see, Microsoft. We'll do this. There we go. So the way I want to do it. Microsoft wants Copilot. There, it's still do not accept. Okay. Close this. Okay, forget searching the web. Copilot wants to know how your day went. It's great to see you. Microsoft's Copilot chatbot underwent a transformation last week. Hang on one second. Let me clear my throat. Okay. Hey, Chris, how's the human world today? That's what I heard when I fired up Copilot app on Windows 11 and clicked the microphone button, complete with a calming, wavy background. Yeah, it's this type of banner. So let's see. I fired up so if I hit this and it's on my other screen, I'll bring it over. And if I hit the microphone, I'm not going to do it because I'm using the microphone now and I may have a problem. So, but it may want to talk to you. I use the one on my Samsung phone. I'm using the Google one, and I say, "Hey, G," and I've got it so it instead of going to Bitly, it brings up Google, and I'm able to have a nice discussion with her. She says, "Hi, Huey, how are you? What's going on today?" So a lot of them are doing that now. So Copilot's doing it as well. But the thing with Copilot, it doesn't search the web. And Copilot's October transformation AI-assisted way to search the web. In fact, Microsoft at one point cracked down on people using Bing Chat just to, well, chat. Then over a year ago, let's see, that's going on. Now the Copilot app across Windows PCs, the web, Android, and iPhone is something totally new. It encourages you to just tap the microphone and talk. The text box now encourages you to message Copilot as if you were about to chat with the Smarter Child chatbot on AOL Instant Messenger 20 years ago. So you can have a conversation with Copilot now. So you can just chat about anything. I do it with Miss G, and I have a lot of fun doing it sometimes just to show it off to other people. Okay, how to use System Restore on Windows 10 and 11. And I should have read this before I put in Windows 11 24H2 because I didn't have it turned on. So how to use System Restore on Windows 10 and 11. To use a System Restore on Windows, open the Start menu, search for Restore. Let's see if I can make this even bigger. There we go. System Restore is a Windows feature that can help fix some of the crashes and other computer problems. What is System Restore? When something goes wrong on your system as a result of a bad piece of software, maybe an app you installed or a driver that broke something important, it can be hard to fix. System Restore lets you restore your Windows installation back to its last working state. It does this by creating restore points every so often. By default, it's turned off. Why, I don't know. Restore points are snapshots of your Windows system files, certain program files, registry settings, and hardware drivers. You can create a restore point at any time through Windows automatically. Automatically creates a restore point once per week. It also creates a restore point right after a major system event, like installing a new device driver app or running Windows Update. So you go and you create a restore point. Then if something goes wrong, restore point, you run it and point to a recent restore point. It will reinstate those items. So this can be really useful. It can be used for undoing damage, and restore point is different than making backups. It specifically works on underlying Windows system rather than everything on your hard drive. So if you don't lose data, it actually undoes updates that you've done. So don't count on System Restore as working like a backup. It isn't what it's intended for. Should always have a good backup procedure in place. How does using System Restore affect my apps? When you restore your PC to an earlier restore point, any apps you installed after that point will get uninstalled. Apps that were installed when the restore point was created will still be in place. Apps that you uninstalled after making that restore point will get restored, but with a big caveat. Since System Restore only restores certain types of files, programs that get restored often won't work, or at least work properly until you rerun their installers. Windows does let you see what programs will be affected when you go through the process. Let's see, how to enable. For many people, System Restore protection is turned on by default for your main system drive, C, but not other drives on your PC. For others, System Restore is not enabled by default for any drives. Right now, there's no consensus for why this happens. It does not appear to be related to whether Windows was installed fresh or upgraded, how much disk space you have available, what type of drives you have, or anything else that they can figure out. If you want to be protected by System Restore, you should absolutely turn it on for at least your system drive. And in most cases, that's all you'll need. Of course, I only have that. To make sure System Restore is turned on and to enable it for specific drives, hit Start, type Restore, and then click Create a Restore Point. Don't worry, this doesn't actually create a restore point. It just opens the dialog. So let's go ahead and do that because I need to turn it on. Restore. So it's right there. And I got a different restore. I got a program called Restore, and that's not what I want.
Type in the word create.
Okay, hang on. I got to upgrade. No, I got to close this program. Create.
Yeah, on your computer. Yeah. And then it should bring up create a restore point.
Yep, right there. So it's underneath something else that's right there. So you want to do create instead of restore if you have a program like I have called Restore. So create, and there it is right here. So let's take a look at this. I'm sorry, this kind of thing you can't, I don't have anything in place right now that'll make it bigger, but you can undo system restore. I don't want to do that. But to turn it on, I don't have it. Let's see, where do I turn it on here? It says I do have it on now. I may have turned it. Configure restore settings. I guess this is where I go. And it is set for turn on. So I did turn it on when I realized I wasn't getting it. Disk space usage and delete all restore points for this drive. Now I want to look to see where I can see my restore points. And then create a restore point right now. Let's go ahead and create one. Type a description. I usually like to put the date, Sunday, November 10. And let's just so there's no question. And I'll say create. It's creating a restore point right now. And it was created successfully. So if I click on, I'm quite sure if I hit System Restore, it shows me by reverting your computer to a previous. Let's see what it does. Okay, system can help fix it. Go to next, and then it shows me. Okay, when I did the Windows update, that's when I realized I didn't have it turned on, and I went ahead and I clicked on it. So I've got to, if I want to go back to the 8th, which was just 2 days ago, you can see I can click on that and then go back to it. I should have a whole list of things there. It wasn't turned on when I did my update. So we'll cancel that. So you can see how you can use the system restore. And on that, we'll go and see if there's any comments or questions. Steve Parker.
Yeah, the thing I've noticed about that system restore program is it's one of the biggest misnomers of Microsoft. It doesn't restore your system. Essentially, all it is a glorified registry restore. It just takes a snapshot of what your registry settings are, and then when you finish doing whatever you want to do, and you try to restore it, it'll just take your registry settings and put those back in the registry. It doesn't affect any of your files. So if you've changed a lot of files, chances are that system restore point is completely useless. So there's really no point in keeping a system restore point multiples of it. So once you've done one, all the others you can delete them because they won't work anyway. And most of the time when you try to restore to a system restore point, it takes it longer to do that than if you went to your backups and restored a whole full backup of your system.
Yeah, but let's say I delete the last, or I shouldn't say, I restore from the last restore point. And then I can go back into it, and then I believe I can then hit the restore and go back one more level. I
Yeah,
think
but the further you go back, the more likely it is that you've changed a lot of files that won't work now with the settings that are in the registry.
not files of data, program files.
Yeah,
Correct?
yeah.
Yeah. Data is not affected by it. If
No.
you if you've
No files at all are
yeah.
affected by it,
Right,
other than
right.
the ones that contain the registry, and then there's like 4 or 5 separate files that make up the registry.
Right, and that's where I wanted to talk about that point. That if you've put data in there, you created an Excel spreadsheet, it's not going to be affected by that.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, there's a question when you're setting up the restore point. There's a slider for how much disk space to do. How much do you pick for that?
It depends on how much you have left. If you're getting short on it, then you might have to reduce that. Other than that, just let it use the whatever default is there. I would guess.
Yeah.
I always have to have a lot of storage left, so I have not really been concerned about it. Drew, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, I usually set aside just no more than like 4 or 5 gigabytes of space as an average on computers to
Yeah,
do
I
restore
do the
points.
same as well.
Yeah, I think what was the default on mine? I think it was 8 GB, but I've got a 2 TB drive.
Yeah, there's no point in setting it any higher than that.
No, no. Okay, Jim, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we're losing a couple people. I think time-wise, let's see if there's anything I want to quickly hit, and then we'll take the break so Drew can get ready with his presentation. So screen and there. Okay, and come back here. Is there anything here we didn't? Microsoft Publisher is going away, and they do have a retirement date. And if you use Microsoft Publisher, you want to take a look at that article. I use it. I wish it wasn't going away. I really like it. Desktop Publishers is no longer really a relevant topic. And so there is nothing really to take its place. They recommend using Word, but there are a few other programs out there, but nothing of any value that doesn't work as well as Microsoft Publisher. This is about Microsoft Word and Google Docs. And let's see, if you're not using voice dictation, if you're not using voice dictation, you probably should. If you're comfortable with it, I find it a lot of times is very good, especially now that you have AI. When you're done, you can just run it through one of the AI programs and tell it click to create any fix any grammar errors, like capitalize the first word of a sentence and so on. And then let AI do it for you. So you don't have to do as much manual changes and updates and fixes, I should say, with voice dictation. And then it goes in and talks about 5G, and then what's the difference between CPU, GPU, and TPU. If those are confusing terms and you want to know the difference, read that article. Then how to get the best out of RCS on iPhone and Android. If you're having problems messaging back and forth between an Android phone and an iPhone, then read that article. And on that note, let's go ahead and stop the share. Any final comments or questions? This has been the Sarasota Technology User Group and Central Florida Computer Society, or CFCS and STUG, Windows SIG or WinSIG for November 10th, 2024. I'm Huey Poplock. Thanks to Mike for starting it off for me.